And I agree with Rahima because I couldn't place myself within these categories too. I love vegetables. We went through that last session. But anyway, I guess we can move on to the next part. I believe it is the aisles part. And again, we will be listening to an audio clip and listening and answering the following questions.
So, Bob, how many people have said that they're coming on the company picnic?
Well, Cindy, we've got 35 definite and another 10 probable.
Shall we say 50?
I think so. And we've fixed the date for...
The 26th, the last Sunday in August.
Great. I hope the weather's good.
Should be. Now, we have to decide where to order the food from and what kind of things we want.
Right. What's our budget?
We've decided to go for £10 a head for food and £5 a head for drinks.
OK, I got some pamphlets from caterers. What do you think?
The most important thing is to make sure that there's a variety of food. We don't want people complaining that they don't like anything.
We also don't want food that could deteriorate in the sun. Ice cream, that kind of thing.
You've seen these pamphlets. What do you think?
Well, I thought Paris Kitchen looked good. The price almost exactly meets our budget, and they seem to have a good variety.
I don't know. A friend of mine used them for her company and wasn't impressed.
Really? What exactly didn't she like?
Well, the food. She said the food was good, but not quite the variety they'd expected. The drinks included some wine, which was apparently not very good.
Oh, well, perhaps we need to consider this one, company caterers.
Looks a bit pricey. Mind you, I've heard that they are very good.
Let me check the price. Yes, £12 a head for food. That's more than our budget. Do you think we could get a discount?
Let's see if it says anything in the pamphlet. Yes, they do offer a discount for groups of more than 30. 10%. Does that help us?
10% off £12. It's still more than we budgeted for.
Hey, look at this one. Celebrations.
It's a new company. I asked a few people about them, but no one has any ideas.
Well, let's see. £9 a head for food and £5 a head for drinks. That's fine. What kind of food do they have? It says here that they just provide cold meals for picnics. Well, that's okay. And they include vegetarian dishes. We do have some vegetarians to take into consideration.
Well, it looks good to me. The only problem is their lack of experience. I mean, it's a bit of a risk, isn't it?
Yes, if the food's no good, we'll look incompetent.
Ah, look here. It says that we can visit their premises and try some of the dishes they offer.
You mean we might get a free lunch? Shall we call them and arrange to go and see them?
OK, which day? How about tomorrow?
No, we've got that meeting. The day after tomorrow, Thursday.
Good. Time?
11?
Good. Right, what's their phone number? 28653479. We also need to ask them whether they can deliver straight to the picnic site, don't we?
Yes, I don't think that'll be a problem though. I mean, it's on the outskirts of the city, but it's not too far away. Does the price include delivery?
It doesn't say, but the other companies include it, so they should. If they don't, our budget still allows us to pay a small fee.
All right, so that was the audio clip, and the questions are, how many people are coming to the company picnic? A, 35, B, 45, C, 35 definite and 10 probable, and D, 55. The second question, the picnic day is on A, 26th of August, B, 26th of September, and C, 26th of October. And the third question is they will visit the catering company on A, Thursday, B, Wednesday, C, Tuesday. And the results are in. So for the first question, 35 definite and 10 probable won by 78%. The second question, option A won by 56%. And then for the third question, Thursday won by 78%. So yeah, let's go to our instructors and see what they think.
I agree with the majority on all of the questions there. For the first question, they said that it's 35 definite and 10 probable, but they're going to plan for 50 people. So you could go either way on that one, but I think C is the most specific answer there for that one. And I agree with the majority on the other ones too.
Yes, I also agree with the majority on all three.
Rahima?
I also do agree with all three questions. And the first, they definitely say, I agree with Paul. They definitely say that 35 definite and 10 probable. However, they are going to make for 50 people. In the second question, they said the last Sunday of August, 26. And the third question, yeah, it's definitely Thursday.
Dama, I see you unmuted.
I also agree, but the first question was 50, and after that it was 55. So if you, yeah, so it has to be the C. And the rest, yeah, I agree with the audience.
Yeah, I think they said it was going to be the last Sunday in August, which is the 26th. And 35 and 10 probable. I see what you're talking about, Luma. I think in the options, the fourth option was 50, and now the answers it's showing 55. But anyway, in the video, it mentioned clearly that it's 35 definite and 10 probable.
I agree with the majority on all three. It was a little confusing with the first one because they did mention 52, but they said 35 definite and 10 probable.
Mariam?
On the first question, I agree that it's 35 definite and 10 probable. For the picnic day, yes, it's the last week of August 26th. And for the last one, it's Thursday.
For me, for the first one, the video is flipped. For me, the first one, it's the definite, and the second one, it is on 26th of August, and the third one on Thursday.
All right, so I guess everyone
Good
kind
afternoon.
of agrees.
My name is Sam.
All right, I guess everyone kind of agrees, and then we'll be moving on to the second sample of the IELTS part, and yeah, let's listen to the audio clip.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sally Miller, and I'm here to offer you some advice on legal matters whilst you are studying at this university. Happily, most international students complete their courses without running into any serious legal problems. But if you do find yourself involved in a legal dispute of any kind, ask for help. There are two options. First, contact the students' union or welfare officer. Even if they cannot help you directly, they should be able to advise you where to go for help. The second possibility is to contact the Citizens Advice Bureau in your area. You can find them in the local telephone directory. They will be able to recommend a solicitor if you need one, and tell you if there is a local law centre providing free legal advice. They will also be able to tell you whether you can claim legal aid to help pay for any court and legal fees. Let me give you some basic information about the police. The police have the power to stop and search anyone who appears to be behaving in a suspicious manner. If you are arrested for any reason, even if you know it to be a wrong reason, remember a few very important things. 1. Don't be aggressive. 2. Do not try to bribe the police officer. 3. If you are arrested by plainclothes police officers, ask to see some form of identification. 4. Give your true name and address if the officer asks you to. Lying to the police is a criminal offence. 5. Do not sign any statement until you have received advice from a solicitor. There is always a solicitor on duty at every police station. 6. You will be entitled to make one telephone call. If you use this call to telephone a friend, urge your friend to contact someone from your university or from the students' union and get advice about what you should do next. If you find yourself in trouble with the police, it is very important to get professional advice. Contact any of the following: your university welfare officer, the students' union at your university, your local citizens' advice bureau, a local law centre. If you are found guilty of an offence, it could seriously damage your position as an international student, so be sure to ask for help as early in the process as possible. Remember, obey the local laws. The laws here may not be quite the same as in your own country. Here are a few examples of actions that are illegal here. It is against the law to possess offensive weapons. For example, knives, guns, chemical sprays used for personal defense. Even women are not allowed to carry sprays or other deterrents to protect themselves against possible assault, except for rape alarms. Possess or supply hard or soft drugs. Disturb the peace. This is called disorderly conduct. This means that you can be arrested for being too noisy or rowdy. A few words about drinking. In this country, it is perfectly acceptable for adults to drink alcohol in moderate amounts. For many people, drinking is an established part of their social life. Going out for a drink is how they relax or spend time with friends. If you go to a party or visit people at home in the evening, your host will probably offer you a drink. Often, a lot of university social life can revolve around drinking, especially for undergraduates. Do not be surprised if people arrange to meet in a bar, or if events are held in a pub. But you are not obliged to drink alcohol if you do not want to, even if you are in a pub or at a party where everyone else is drinking. You can always ask for a non-alcoholic drink instead. And if you feel uncomfortable going to places that serve alcohol, explain this to your friends. There are lots of other places where you can meet. If you do choose to drink, remember that you should never drive a motor vehicle after drinking alcohol. It is dangerous, and the police can impose serious penalties on you. Also, remember that being drunk in public is not acceptable either, and the police can arrest you for it. Drugs and alcohol can cause serious problems. Let me repeat that in this country it is illegal to use drugs, except under medical supervision. But if you do use illegal drugs and you develop a problem, there are organisations you can contact. Contact your students' union or your student counsellor. Anyone over 18 years old can legally buy and consume alcoholic drinks in this country. But if you think you might be drinking too much, get help and advice from your student counsellor or your doctor. Again, there are special organisations that can help you with drug and alcohol problems. Contact them.
All right, so that was the end of this audio clip, and the questions are: the police have the right to stop and search any person who behaves in a suspicious manner. It's a yes or no question. And then the second question is, the lady mentioned that a student should not go to a bar because he or she doesn't have the right to refuse to drink alcohol. It is also a yes or no question, and we will be hearing from our attendees first and then moving to our instructors. All right, so the results are in. Yes won by 88% for the first question, and then no won by 82% for the second question. And yeah, let's go to our instructors.
I agree on both questions. I agree with yes on the first question and no on the second.
Yeah, she was explaining that it's okay to be drinking in that country, whatever country it is, and that it's socially acceptable. And even if you visit someone at home in the afternoon, he's probably going to offer you a drink. And it is not totally okay and fine to meet up at a bar. So for the second question, the answer is no. And for the first question, yes, the police, she did say that the police does have the right to stop and search any person who behaves in a suspicious manner.
I agree with that too. The first question was yes, and the second question was no. She said that you can refuse to drink if you want to.
I would agree with instructors and the audience. In the first question is definitely yes. In the second question, you can buy alcohol if you are over 18, but no one can oblige you. Like it's your choice. That's definitely no. By the way, I liked our new instructor with you, Paul.
I agree with the majority on this end with the instructors. The answer to the first question was yes. Police have the right to stop you and to search you if you're suspicious. And for the second question, no one can make you drink. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Maria?
I agree with the majority on the first question and also on the second, because the video or the audio mentioned that you can go to a bar, but you're not obliged to drink.
Dojana?
I agree also with the majority for the first question, which is yes, she was talking about the police and the manners at the same time. And for the second one, definitely it's no, because it's like a rule more and it's a help for the students.
And Doma?
I agree with the audience. By the way, it's very useful for students who ever decide to go from strict country and to foreign countries. So I find it very useful, this video. And yeah, it's straightforward. So
I guess everyone is kind of on the same page regarding this particular part of the session. So yeah, I guess we can move on to the last part, and it is the radio challenge. Again, we will be listening to a certain type of media and answering the following questions. So enjoy.
1 year out from the 2020 presidential election and less than 100 days before the first votes are counted in the Iowa caucuses, Democrats are working to energize one of their biggest strengths, young voters. But can they be counted on to show up? We're joined now by Joey Garrison, reporter at USA Today. Joey, what's up here?
With that, it's just increasingly young voters have become a reliable voting bloc for Democrats. And really, if you look at the midterms in 2018, they soared to 67% of voters 18 to 29 voted for Democrats compared to 32% for Republicans. It was really, if you look at recent elections, the largest margin for Democrats among young voters that we've seen. And in addition to that, turnout for young voters of that age group has increased, went from 13% of all eligible young voters in the 2014 midterms to 28%
wow.
In 2018. Now, of course, in 2018, turnout in general increased, but the increase among young people, that 15 or 16% increase, was larger than the 10% increase for folks 30 and older. Now, I should add here, I mean, young voters still notoriously vote less than the rest of the population, but that gap has now narrowed. They're getting a larger share of the overall vote, and Democrats, because they are winning them by larger margins, are now really needing to probably rely on that kind of turnout, that kind of enthusiasm from young voters to be successful against Trump next year.
All right, so they've sort of shaken that what label they had as being unreliable, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, they're still voting less. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if you look at, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but they're decidedly less. But they've chipped into that share and made a dent in it and increased their share of the overall vote. And I think a lot of Democrats look at the field and they I think it has to be looked at as among the constituencies for Democrats that they need to have enthused to make sure they're going to the polls. And I think in some of these swing states, it's possible a high turnout in among that 18 to 29 year old demographic could be a critical ingredient for the Democratic nominee, whoever that is, of being either successful or unsuccessful against Trump.
We're speaking with Joey Garrison, national correspondent at USA Today. So you referenced those early voting states like Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. Any reason to think that young voters are more or less important in those states?
I think they will be important in each of those. I mean, I think each, Iowa, New Hampshire, there's obviously college towns, in both of those, and they could be, one of the things that tips one of the candidates towards victory. There's recent polling, and this isn't exactly news, suggesting that Vice President Joe Biden faces a real problem with young voters. I think he in Iowa, for example, he performed in a recent poll worse than even Andrew Yang in the 18 younger than 45-year-old demographic. So that's, for the beginning, that's been a real tough area for the former vice president, and something he's gonna, you would think, have to overcome to a degree. Obviously, on the flip side, former Vice President Biden is performing the best among candidates in voters 65 or older, Democratic voters 65 and older, and obviously that's a group still, despite the turnout increase of young voters, that still seniors still dominate voting the most of any other age groups.
Any response from the Trump campaign or the Republican National Committee, for example, in response to this surge of young people going for Democrats?
Well, I mean, I have a comment in there from the Trump campaign. I think they've predicted that Trump would perform better in all demographics, but the Republicans and in the National Republican Party are still, they're certainly not giving up on young voters, and there's still young Republican who will obviously be there in support of the president. It depends on obviously which state you're looking at.
Thanks, Joey. Joey Garrison, reporter at USA Today.
America's First News is online.
All right, so that was also a very interesting audio clip. And the questions are, the report was talking about the Republicans. It's a yes or no question. And then the second question is, Biden will be the presidential candidate of the Republicans and Trump will be the candidate of the Democrats. It is also a yes or no question. So we will be hearing from our attendees first and then moving on to our instructors. All right, so the results are in. Yes won by 67% for the first question, and then no won by 67% as well for the second question. Let's move to our our instructors and see what they think.
Okay, so I don't agree with the attendees on any of the two questions. Number one should be no, and number two, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Number two is correct. Sorry, I saw number two is yes. Number two is correct. Number one is incorrect. Number one should be no. Number two is correct.
All right.
I agree with Yusuf on that as well. I think the majority of the report was about the Democratic strategy. There was a little bit of talk of the Republicans in the end, but I think the majority of the report wasn't about them. So I would pick no for the first question, and then of course no for the second question. That was the opposite of that.
I agree with you, Paul. I think the report is mainly talking about the Democrats, and Biden is the presidential candidate of the Democrats. So the answer to the second question is no.
What are some other responses?
I agree with the other instructors. The answer to the first question is no, and the answer to the second question is no.
All right. Rahima?
I would agree with our instructors as well for both questions.
Great.
I also agree with the instructors.
Online. 1 year.
No for the both questions.
Okay, great. So this concludes our session for today, and this is for the attendees. So please watch this lecture and Dr. Mohammed Solomon's interview on Arab Guru YouTube channel. That would be your homework, and answer the quizzes in your Google Classroom. So like I said, this was the end of the fourth and the final session of the English Listening Enhancement course. It's been an amazing ride with you guys, and instructors, thank you so much for being here to answer the questions along with our audience. And thank you attendees for being here. I hope that this was beneficial for you. And as always, this was very, very fun to moderate. I've had lots of fun doing this. So yeah, stay safe, guys, and wear a mask, and also have a great day.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, and thank you, Shahid.